Do you want to maximize the yield and health of your indoor hydroponic plants? In this video, I'll share 5 essential tips to help you get the most out of your system, whether you're just starting out or a seasoned grower. Tip number 1, give your plants enough space. Don't feel like you need to fill all of the slots with plants. With hydroponic systems, the number of plant sites is often used as a way to advertise the size of the system, so companies will pack the sites way too close together for them to ever be realistically filled. The amount of space needed depends on the plant and variety. For lettuce, give them at least 6 inches between plants. On the other hand, cilantro and radishes can be packed more tightly. Basil needs a lot of space, at least 6 inches, just like lettuce. Since there are many varieties of plants that you can grow in a hydroponic system, it's hard to give exact guidelines for plant spacing. When you're adding a plant to your hydroponic system, make sure you know how large it will get and give it enough space so that when it's fully grown, it won't crowd out the other plants in your system. Tip number 2. Don't grow new plants next to older plants. It's tempting to look at the empty space in your hydroponic system and put new seedlings there. After all, the space is currently just being wasted, right? The problem is that plants generally grow faster as they get bigger. So over time, your new seedlings will probably get outcompeted by the existing plant. Try to keep your plants grouped by type and age. For example, keep all your 4-week-old lettuce plants together. When adding new plants, try to add them next to each other. Tip number 3. Harvest plants often to keep them in their vegetative stage. Once a plant reaches maturity, it begins the flowering stage, also known as bolting, where it produces seeds. Once a plant begins to bolt, it becomes bitter. If the plant is an heirloom plant and not a hybrid plant, you can allow it to go to seed and collect those seeds. But usually, once a plant bolts, it's no longer worth keeping. So we want to keep plants in the vegetative stage for as long as possible. The easiest way to keep plants in their vegetative stage is to harvest them often. This will trick the plant into thinking it's not yet ready for going to seed. With some lettuce varieties, if you harvest from them frequently, they can easily last 6 months or more. When harvesting lettuce, you want to harvest the leaves from the bottom of the plant. These leaves are no longer useful to the plant anyways, since they're usually being blocked by the newer leaves. So you're actually doing the plant a favor by allowing it to focus on growing leaves that can actually photosynthesize more energy. Tip number 4, do not bring in soil from outside. One of the main benefits of growing indoors is that there aren't any bugs to deal with, at least not usually. However, if you do end up with pests in your system, they can be very difficult to get rid of since there aren't any natural predators to keep them in check. Even just a small clump of soil can contain insect eggs. When those eggs hatch, those bugs could make their way to your hydroponic system. If you're growing things in soil nearby, make sure you're using sanitized soil. Don't use potting mix unless it specifically says it's meant for indoor use. If you do bring in soil from outside, or if you're using non-sterilized potting mix, make sure you sterilize it first by baking it in the oven or microwaving it. If you're bringing in things from outside that have dirt on them, keep them far away from your hydroponic system. Last year, I cured garlic near my hydroponic system. The garlic had some dirt on it, and my system got infected with thrips. I had to throw out all my plants and start over from scratch. Plant cuttings can also have pests in them. If you bring in cuttings from outside, check the underside of the leaves for pests. Keep them far away from your hydroponic system for at least several weeks in case there are insects hiding in the cutting. Tip number 5, don't be afraid to experiment. Growing plants is immensely fun and rewarding. There are a massive variety of plants that you can grow hydroponically. There are over 200 varieties of lettuce, and the seeds for them are widely available and quite affordable. Each variety has different taste, texture, shape, growth characteristics, and temperature and light preferences. There are dozens of varieties of herbs that can be grown hydroponically. Try out a bunch of varieties and see which ones you like the most and which ones grow well in your system. Are there any varieties of plants you've had a lot of success growing indoors hydroponically? Let me know in the comments. You can also experiment with how you grow things, such as using different grow mediums, light setups, germination techniques, and so on. The key to becoming a better gardener is to constantly be learning and trying new things. If you try something out and it doesn't work, that's okay. You can use it as a learning opportunity. So go out there, have fun, and grow lots of things. So, those are my top tips for getting the most out of your hydroponic system. Do you have any tips you think should have been included?